They say Mongolia is the emptiest country on Earth, a boundless ocean of steppe, desert, and sky. But here, emptiness doesn't mean absence. Look closer, and you'll find hidden temples, lush green valleys, ancient traditions, and people who live their lives in colors as vibrant as their culture. Wild herds roam through untouched landscapes. Nomads walk in the footsteps of their ancestors, guided by a bond with nature that isn't explained, it's lived. This is a world where simplicity becomes beauty, and silence speaks louder than words. A land that has stayed raw, honest, and real. So come with me on a journey through the heart of Mongolia, through wind and wide open spaces, through stories and spirit. Let's discover a quiet power in a place that doesn't shout for attention, but never lets you forget it once you've been there. Facts that'll leave you in awe: vastness, weather, and the legacy of Genghis Khan. Did you know Mongolia is the second largest landlocked country in the world, and yet one of the most sparsely populated? On average, just over 2 people live in every square kilometer, and nearly half of them live in the bustling capital, Ulaanbaatar, a tiny dot that covers only 0.3% of the entire land. The rest? Open, endless space, high plateaus, deserts, and the legendary Mongolian steppe, one of the last untouched grassland ecosystems on Earth. But the beauty here comes with a harsh edge. In winter, temperatures plunge to -22 Fahrenheit as Siberian winds whip across the land. In summer, the heat can soar to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit with not a single drop of rain. Only a sliver of the land can be farmed. The rest remains wild, dry, and unforgiving, shaped by the breath of the Gobi Desert, which expands a little more each year. But it's that very harshness that gave rise to something rare, a culture built on resilience. Since the 13th century, since the rise of Genghis Khan and the largest contiguous empire in human history, nomadic life here has barely changed. The paths they follow, the tents they live in, the values they hold, still alive, still rooted in a land that shapes, challenges, and protects them. Nomads of the wind, living by nature's rhythm. Even in today's modern world, about a third of Mongolia's people still live as their ancestors did centuries ago, as nomads, always on the move, guided by wind, by seasons, and by the instinctive paths of their animals. Their home is the ger, a circular tent known in the West as a yurt. It's light, freedom, to set up and break down, and built to withstand the extremes of Mongolia's fierce climate. But it's more than shelter. It's a symbol of freedom and flexibility, a way of life that adapts to the land rather than trying to conquer it. Out here, GPS isn't necessary. These nomads read the sky, listen to the wind, and understand the language of animals. Nature isn't a backdrop, it's a companion. And even in this vast openness, they're not cut off from the world. Many now use solar panels for electricity, a quiet bridge between ancient tradition and modern innovation. But the bond that runs deepest is with the horse, an animal that's more than just a means of transport. It's a partner, a protector of the steppe, and a living piece of the Mongolian soul. In fact, there are more horses in Mongolia than people, and many children learn to ride before they even learn to walk. Because to truly understand the horse is to understand the land. Between reindeer and eagles, the Dukha and the Kazakhs. In Mongolia's far north, where the taiga begins and the air turns to frost, lives a people who seem to belong to another time. The Dukha, also known as the Tuwa. They journey through snow-covered forests and valleys, across frozen rivers and icy hills, alongside their most vital companions, reindeer. But reindeer aren't just transportation. They're food, clothing, warmth, and direction. Without them, life in this frozen silence would be almost impossible. The bond between human and animal here runs deep, almost spiritual. The Dukha believe in the power of nature spirits. They listen to the forest whispers and follow signs that most eyes would miss. Their quiet, humble way of life is a living reminder of a time when humanity saw itself as part of a greater whole. Further west, along the rugged edges of the Altai Mountains, lives another nomadic people, the Kazakhs. They too carry ancient traditions, but their companions are not reindeer, they are golden eagles. With practiced ceremony, Kazakh hunters train these majestic birds, fierce, focused predators that spot prey from the sky and strike with power and precision. But eagle hunting isn't just a skill, it's heritage, it's identity. It's a living thread that weaves together past and present. And when an eagle lifts off from the arm of its trainer, the sky opens, and so does a window into a world where nature and humanity still breathe as one. Gaya and Wulan, sacred lakes that breathe. The Mongolian soul hidden deep in the remote foothills of the Altai Mountains lies a lake that feels more like a dream than a place, Lake Gaya. Its crystal-clear, turquoise waters reveal swirling patterns just beneath the surface, shaped by mineral-rich sediments and the gentle pulse of underground springs. When the wind brushes across it, the lake seems to breathe, quiet, alive, and full of mystery. Not far from there, out on the sweeping steppe, Lake Wulan shimmers in a very different light. Its name means red. And at sunset, its surface glows with warm, fiery reflections, as if the sky itself were melting into water. Nestled between soft hills and endless plains, this lake invites you to pause, to reflect, to simply marvel at the silent beauty of Mongolia's wild heart. Geographically, Gaya lies within Russian borders, and Wulan in the Chinese region of Inner Mongolia, but both belong to the same spirit, the same landscape, the same memory. These waters tell shared stories, of wind and time, of vastness and silence. They aren't boundaries, they're bridges, reminders that culture isn't confined by borders. It lives in the land and in the hearts of those who remember. Colors in the wind, where villages glow and the steppe breathes. As you travel across the endless Mongolian steppe, you might stumble upon something unexpected. Tiny villages, their rooftops painted in bold reds, greens, blues, and yellows, like brushstrokes on a canvas of grass and sky. But these colors are more than decoration. They offer warmth on bitter winter days, hope under heavy gray clouds, and guidance when snow and wind blur the edges of the world. From a distance, they rise like beacons, quiet lighthouses of human life in a sea of open space. There's no strict grid here, no urban layout. Each house sits on its own patch of land, fenced and free, a legacy of nomadic culture, where space is not about limits but about sharing. These open areas aren't just practical for keeping livestock, they're gathering spots, places where community happens naturally, not by design, but by presence. The colorful homes don't disrupt the landscape, they belong to it. They reflect a way of life that doesn't fight the land, but flows with it, a culture that doesn't erase, but connects. Between wind, grass, and horizon, they stand as symbols of the Mongolian spirit, open, vibrant, and deeply human. Ulaanbaatar, where past and future move to the same beat. In the heart of the Chuluu River Valley lies Mongolia's vibrant capital, Ulaanbaatar, a city of contrasts, of change, of unexpected collisions. Here, ancient prayer wheels spin just steps away from gleaming glass towers. Centuries-old rituals echo alongside the noise of busy boulevards. The city is a mirror of Mongolia itself, caught between deep pride in its past and an urgent pull toward the future. Amid the urban rush stands Gondunteg Hinlan Monastery, a quiet sanctuary where monks still practice age-old traditions. The scent of incense drifts through the air, blending with the low hum of chants, reminding visitors that spirituality here hasn't been forgotten. It's still part of daily life. Just a short walk away, Museums like the Winter Palace of Bogd Khan and the National Museum open doors to the past, with artifacts that speak of emperors, wars, and the wisdom of a nomadic people. And high on Zaisan Hill, overlooking the valley, a Soviet-era memorial stands watch. Its colorful mosaics tell stories of wartime brotherhood, but also of a nation caught between independence and outside influence, tradition and revolution. Ulaanbaatar is not a city of easy answers. It's a place in motion, a living crossroads where steppe meets skyline, where history meets modernity. And if you stay long enough, you'll feel it. The heartbeat of a country not trying to forget itself, but trying to become something new without letting go of where it began. A legacy in steel. Genghis Khan's eternal monument. To truly understand Mongolia, you have to venture beyond Ulaanbaatar, out into the open land where history isn't just told, but carved into the landscape. About 34 miles east of the capital, one of the most iconic monuments in the country rises from the earth, the towering equestrian statue of Genghis Khan at Ongiin Bulldog. Made of gleaming stainless steel and standing 130 feet tall, the great conqueror sits atop his horse, eyes fixed on the east, the direction where his empire first began. Legend has it this is where he once found a golden whip, a sign, they say, that would ignite his rise to power. But this statue is more than just a colossal work of art. It's a symbol of memory, of pride, and of national identity. Inside, the visitor center holds a museum dedicated to Mongolian history, exhibitions, and a viewing deck, perched right on the horse's head, where the vast steppe stretches endlessly in every direction. Not far from the statue stands another figure, his mother, Holan. Quiet, yet powerful. A tribute to the woman who shaped him, nourished him, and gave him the strength to lead. Her influence wasn't just vital for the young Temujin. It was foundational for the empire he would one day build. Together, these two figures, the son on horseback, the mother standing firm, represent the soul of a nation, strength, origin, and the unshakable mark left by love, courage, and resolve across the passage of time. Takhar, Chuluu, and Turtle Rock, when stones become guardians. Far from the highways of modern life, near the town of Tashit, stands a silent giant, Takhar Chuluu. This massive stone formation is covered in ancient markings, carved over centuries. Some are old scripts, some personal messages, others the echoes of long-forgotten legends, as if someone tried to write the very soul of Mongolia into the rock itself. One legend speaks of a hero who sealed away an underground monster beneath this stone, using a spell of great power. To this day, Takhar Chuluu is seen as a place of protection, a quiet guardian, not impressive through size or force, but through the weight of history. Pilgrims of travelers come here to feel its energy, whisper their hopes, or simply sit in stillness, face to face with time and stone. In Gorky Terrell National Park, another natural wonder rises from the earth, Turtle Rock. Shaped like a massive turtle, this formation isn't just a quirk of geology to the locals. It stands for protection, resilience, and harmony with the natural world. Visitors leave small offerings here, tie colorful prayer flags, and speak soft prayers, believing the mountain spirits are always listening. These stones are not just rock, they're memory made solid, sacred connections between earth and sky. In a culture where nature is holy, rocks like these aren't barriers, they're gateways, openings into a deeper world, one that can't always be seen, but can always be felt. Ongiin Monastery, where the soul of Buddhism awakens again. Along the banks of the Ongiin River, in a barren landscape that feels almost lunar, lie the remains of what was once a mighty spiritual center, Ongiin Monastery. Built in the 17th century, it was among the largest in Mongolia, a place of learning, prayer, and inner peace, where more than 1,000 monks once lived, studied, and meditated. But like so many sacred sites across the country, Khiid fell during the communist purges of the 1930s. What was left behind was a landscape of broken stones, scorched earth, and silenced prayers. A haunting reminder of a time when Mongolia's spiritual identity was violently suppressed. And yet, life is returning. Monks now revisit these ruins, offering small ceremonies and letting ancient mantras echo once more through the wind-worn stones. New prayer sites are slowly rising from the rubble. Restoration work reveals long hidden murals, bringing color back to walls that had forgotten the light. With each step, something stirs, something that had been asleep for too long. Hope. Today, Khiid stands for more than the pain of the past. It stands for the strength of return, for the quiet endurance of a faith that couldn't be erased, and for a people's ability to reconnect with their spiritual roots, stone by stone, prayer by prayer.
Erdene Zoo, where history and faith become one.
In the heart of ancient Karakoram, once the power center of the Mongol Empire, rises the oldest Buddhist monastery in Mongolia, Erdene Zoo. Founded in 1585 by Altai Khan, it marked a turning point in the nation's story, the moment when Buddhism became the state religion and a new spiritual era began. Even from a distance, you can see the 108 white stupas that encircle the monastery like a quiet ring of protection. The number is symbolic, like the beads of a prayer necklace, a symbol of completeness, of sacred cycles that never end. Inside these walls, Mongolian, Tibetan, and Chinese architectural styles blend into a seamless whole, one that speaks not just of religion, but of identity. But Erdene Zoo has not been spared from history's storms. During the communist repressions of the 20th century, much of it was destroyed. Monks were persecuted, prayers were silenced. Only fragments survived, but they were enough. Enough to plant the seed of spiritual renewal. Today, Erdene Zoo is both a living monastery where ancient rituals still echo through stone corridors, and a museum that guards the soul of Mongolian spirituality. To walk here, among these time-worn walls, is to feel something beyond history, a quiet force that doesn't treat the past as something finished, but as something still alive, still breathing, passed from one generation to the next. The Orkhon Valley, where nomadic spirit meets history. Beneath gentle hills and along the winding path of the Orkhon River stretches a valley that is more than just land. It's the beating heart of Mongolia's history. Now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Orkhon Valley has for thousands of years been a crossroads of empires, religions, and riders. This is where the tents of ancient kingdoms once stood, where laws were proclaimed, cultures took shape, and paths were carved that still echo today. Scattered across the vast plains lie stone witnesses of the past, monuments from the era of the ancient Turks in the 8th century, and mystical deer stones etched with delicate carvings dating back more than 3,000 years. They speak of power, of rituals, and of a deep belief in the bond between sky and earth. But the valley isn't just a museum of memory, it's alive. Even now, herders lead their animals across the pastures, pitch yurts, light fires, and share stories beneath an endless canopy of stars. Nomadic life here isn't a relic, it's the present, lived in harmony with nature and held up by tradition. And then there's Orkhon Waterfall, known as Erdene Sutgalan, a place of rare beauty where nature speaks like poetry. Water plunges over 65 feet into a basalt canyon, surrounded by green meadows, black rock, and the wide, silent sky. In the Orkhon Valley, past and present flow together. Faith and landscape, people and story, all merge into something that breathes, that whispers, and that endures. The Altai Mountains, where cultures rest on the backs of giants. In Mongolia's far west, a mighty mountain range rises from the earth, the Altai, ancient, rugged, and humbling. Its peaks don't just mark the geographic divide between Mongolia, Russia, China, and Kazakhstan. They trace a silent line between worlds, between languages, religions, and histories. Up here, above 13,000 feet, silence rules. The highest point, Khiid Peak at 14,350 feet, offers views so vast and pure, even seasoned travelers are left without words. And yet, these mountains are far from empty. For centuries, nomadic peoples like the Tuvans and Kazakhs have lived here, shaped by the rawness of the land and living in deep respect for it. Their way of life is marked by simplicity and meaning. Herds move across rocky pastures, yurts stand firm against the wind, and in their songs, the echoes of ancient times still sing. Hidden in the wilderness are stone archives, petroglyphs from the Bronze Age, rock carvings that tell stories of hunts, rituals, and daily life from thousands of years ago. They're images without words, yet they speak a language anyone can feel, if they take the time to listen. And if you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of a snow leopard, a wild ibex, or the elusive Argali sheep, quiet inhabitants of a land that's barely changed. The Altai is more than a mountain range. It's memory-made landscape, a mirror of nature itself, a place where the soul expands and where the rich diversity of cultures finds a shared breath, resting gently on the backs of giants. The Gobi Desert, hidden wonders beneath endless sand. As the landscape softens from the raw majesty of the Altai Mountains into wide, open plains, a new realm begins, one that has stirred fascination and reverence for centuries, the Gobi Desert. But the Gobi is no empty wasteland. It's an ocean of sand, stone, and light. A place that stays quiet, yet somehow tells everything, with towering dunes, jagged rock formations, and colors that shift from golden yellow to deep purple as the sun moves across the sky. The Gobi reveals a beauty that doesn't scream for attention. It waits and rewards only those who are patient enough to truly see. One of its hidden gems is Baga Gazring Chuluu, a rugged granite outcrop that rises like a forgotten fortress from the desert floor. Legend says Buddhist monks once sought refuge here. Even now, it feels like a natural temple, calm, timeless, almost sacred. Further south, the flaming cliffs of Bayanzag burn with color at sunset, when the red sandstone glows like fire. But it's not just the surface that holds wonder. In the 1920s, paleontologists discovered the first fossilized dinosaur eggs here, forever changing our understanding of prehistoric life. And then there's Sagan Suvarga, the White Stupa, a mysterious limestone formation whose layered cliffs shimmer in soft shades of pink, white, and orange. As the sun dips below the horizon, the entire structure seems to breathe, a palace of light and stone carved by time. The Gobi is not a place to rush through. It asks for humility, because only those who approach with open hearts will realize, even beneath silence and sand, stories live, ancient, alive, and full of wonder. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the untouched vastness of Mongolia, through valleys steeped in legend, stones with memory, and horizons that truly take your breath away. If this video moved you, feel free to leave a like and share it with your friends and family. It's your support that makes these journeys possible and helps bring new stories to life. Have you ever been to Mongolia yourself? Or is it a place you dream of seeing one day? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this quiet beauty speaks to you. The world is full of hidden wonders. Let's keep discovering them, step by step, heart to heart. Until the next adventure.